The crisp piece of paper slid across the polished oak table, its stark whiteness a sharp contrast to the coffee rings and textbook smudges. Ethan's gaze was hard, unwavering. The document, a DNA analysis from a downtown lab, laid out the truth in cold, clinical terms. The probability of parentage was 0. A series of genetic markers failed to align. There was no biological link. He stated plainly that Liam was not an Ashford, that he was. He accused Liam of having stolen his life, his family, and his brother Julian. Liam felt a strange sense of liberation wash over him. He told Ethan that he had finally arrived, asking him if he had any idea how difficult his brother was to manage. Just 2 hours before, Liam had been on a video call from the university gymnasium. The connection was spotty, the image of Julian freezing for a second. The man on the screen was immaculate, his bespoke suit without a single crease, the gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose reflecting the light from his laptop. A few strands of dark hair fell across his forehead as his long fingers moved through a stack of documents. He radiated a cool, untouchable air of corporate power, a total control freak. Liam held the phone at arm's length, reciting his report with practiced ease. He was at school playing basketball. Not at a bar, not street racing, not skipping class. He asked if that was good enough. Julian turned a page, his voice calm and unhurried when he finally spoke, remarking that it sounded like Liam was being good. The implication was clear. Liam hadn't gone to a bar, but he had spent the afternoon at a gaming cafe. He hadn't street raced, but he had taken his Ducati for a spin on the back roads. Good behavior wasn't his natural state. Sweat trickled down his temple, stinging his eye. He absently pulled up the hem of his jersey to wipe his face, revealing a flash of pale skin and the lean muscle of his torso. The man on the screen, who had been engrossed in his work, finally looked up. His fingers loosened the knot of his tie. He reminded Liam to conduct himself properly. Liam rolled his eyes. Before Julian could launch into a lecture, Liam feigned a technical issue, raising his phone and pretending he couldn't hear, complaining about the signal before abruptly ending the call. Normally, such a blatant act of defiance would have consequences. But Julian was over 6,000 miles away on business. 2 hours later, Ethan appeared with the DNA report. The truth, when it came, felt like an answered prayer. Liam grabbed Ethan's hand, a wide grin spreading across his face. Ethan was taken aback by this unexpected reaction. Before he could say another word, Liam was digging into his backpack. He pulled out a ridiculously thick, leather-bound binder and shoved it into Ethan's hands. It was the Ashford Family Code of Conduct, 200 pages of meticulously detailed rules, covering everything from moral principles to social etiquette, from academic strategies to household duties. Liam gave him a look full of meaning, telling him to be a good boy. The life he'd been living felt like a fortress. Now, a crack had appeared in the wall, just large enough for him to squeeze through. The fact that Ethan could show up so confidently meant the family already knew. They were giving him a hint. The real heir was here, and the imposter should know when to leave. Liam wasn't stupid. He was ready to run. As for Julian, goodbye and good riddance. This eagle was about to soar. His flight to freedom lasted exactly 10 hours, 25 minutes, and 17 seconds before Julian himself dragged him back. They were all gathered in the cavernous living room of the Ashford estate. Ethan, the perpetually absent woman who was supposedly his mother, the family patriarch, and Julian, who was supposed to be in another hemisphere. The old man tapped his silver-headed mahogany cane on the marble floor. He declared that Ethan was an Ashford and would not be left to fend for himself. He was to move in with Julian, who would mentor him. Then he turned his attention to Liam. Liam stared at his shoes, mentally reciting a mantra to stay calm. The old man continued, saying that Liam was also an Ashford, in a sense, and the family could afford to feed another mouth. But that was all that was left for him now, a seat at the table. The moment that report had been verified, Liam knew his trust funds, stocks, and properties had been quietly transferred. His so-called mother was tearfully reuniting with Ethan, then shot Liam a venomous look, remarking that it was no wonder he never sided with her. He wasn't even her flesh and blood. Liam was floored by her audacity. She had never changed a diaper, attended a single parent-teacher conference, or even known which school he attended. The idea that he would ever be on her team against Julian was laughable. Finally, the drama concluded. Julian led both Liam and Ethan out. Julian's expression was mild, his impressive frame filling out his suit in a way that was almost artistic. Except for a few faint wrinkles on the expensive fabric, there was no sign he had just taken a transatlantic flight from Los Angeles. He toyed with his watch, making small talk with Ethan, his voice a low, soothing murmur. All manufactured charm. Liam curled up in the passenger seat of the car, trying to make himself invisible. He wished the car would drive slower or that they might get carjacked. Anything to delay their arrival. He trailed Julian into the minimalist glass and steel mansion like a lamb to slaughter, then immediately tried to slip away. Julian shrugged off his suit jacket, handing it to the housekeeper with instructions to show Ethan to the guest suite on the second floor. Ethan clutched the heavy binder Liam had given him, looking at Julian with a mixture of nervousness and adoration. He asked if he could call him Julian, promising to memorize every single rule in the book. Julian glanced down at the binder, then gently took it from Ethan's hands. He told him not to take it seriously and to go get some rest. A blatant double standard. It was clear who the real son was. Only after Ethan had disappeared upstairs did Julian slowly turn around. His glasses caught the light, obscuring his eyes. His fingers undid his tie, pulling it free with a soft hiss. He spoke Liam's full name, his voice dangerously quiet. A shiver went down Liam's spine. He was done for. The last time Julian had used his full name was 3 years ago, when Liam had a brief, ill-advised high school romance. He remembered Julian rolling up his sleeves, the veins on his powerful forearms standing out. His face was placid, giving no hint of the fury beneath. The sharp crack of leather against skin. A fiery sting that made his whole body tremble. He'd been red-faced, half from pain and half from pure humiliation. Who else at 18 got disciplined by their older brother like a child? He bit his lip to stifle a whimper, but the hand on the small of his back held him firmly in place. Julian's voice was a cold whisper in his ear, offering a deal. If he begged, Julian would stop. Liam shut his eyes tight, defiance winning out over pain. He spat back, asking why he should. Julian wasn't his brother anymore. He had no right. He claimed his bones were hard, that he could take it. Julian let out a low, chilling laugh. The belt was tossed aside, landing with a dull thud. A large hand slid from his back, down his waist, and moved to the front. He agreed that Liam's bones were hard, but noted that other parts were soft. Liam's eyes flew open, his mind exploding like popcorn in a hot pan. He began to struggle, a frantic, clumsy dance of panic. The last shreds of his dignity fueled a useless protest. He denied it, insisting he was hard all over. The world spun for a moment, and then he was hauled into Julian's arms. Julian bit his earlobe, his voice muffled. "Is that so? Then let brother see." A sharp pressure followed, and a pained cry escaped Liam's lips. The heat from the body behind him was scorching. This was real. The fear was real. His bravado crumbled. He pleaded, his voice cracking, admitting he was wrong, begging him to stop. The teasing pressure on his earlobe ceased. Julian's voice was a low murmur against his skin, asking if he was willing to call him brother now, reminding Liam that he had said Julian couldn't control him anymore. Liam sagged against him, whimpering that that Julian could do whatever he wanted, just not this. The familiar, rich scent of Julian's cologne filled his senses. He gripped Julian's sleeve, his last coherent thought a desperate, mumbled plea that he was his brother. The arm around his waist tightened, squeezing the air from his lungs. "You're not." Julian had been diagnosed with an affective empathy deficit as a child. Brilliant but cold. The day he was diagnosed, he was effectively abandoned, isolated in the west wing of the estate until Liam arrived a few years later. The housekeepers were negligent with the new baby, who was often left hungry and crying. The incessant noise must have bothered Julian, because one day, the boy who needed a caregiver himself picked up a baby bottle and began learning how to be one. He learned to mix formula and change diapers. The first word Liam ever spoke was Julian. Every birthday, every fever, every graduation and school event, Julian was there. He was the one constant, the protector, the most important person in Liam's world. Liam saw him as a brother. Julian, it turned out, did not. As a child, Liam would sneak into Julian's bed, the large house feeling empty and scary at night. It became a habit that continued long after it was appropriate. A classmate once overheard him admit it, leading to a round of teasing. He'd only told half the story. They didn't just sleep in the same bed. Julian held him all night. Mortified, Liam demanded his own room. Julian agreed without argument. That night, Liam couldn't sleep. Stumbling to the bathroom in the dark, he found himself on autopilot, crawling back into Julian's bed. He was immediately pulled into a familiar embrace. He tried to pull away, but Julian, half asleep, held him fast, sighing for him to be good and not to make a fuss. Julian was under immense pressure at the time, just starting at the family company. Seeing the exhaustion etched on his face in the moonlight, Liam relented. Things changed the day. A stupid, joke love letter, written by a friend as a prank, fell out of his textbook at Julian's feet. Julian's expression remained neutral, but his eyes were like ice as he read the note over and over. He had asked if this was what Liam had been so eager to show him. Liam had been trying to show him his report card. That misunderstanding had led to the worst punishment of his life. The sheer intensity of Julian's rage was unsettling. The family code of conduct, practically written for him, grew thicker. Julian's innate need for control began to surface in more disturbing ways. One night, Liam saw the door to Julian's room was ajar. He heard the sound of a man's ragged breathing, and then his own name, spoken on a pained gasp. The sound cut through him like a shard of glass. In the darkness, Julian's eyes met his. He knew Liam was there. He had done it on purpose. That was when the rebellion began. Liam started acting out, testing boundaries, causing trouble. He thought that if he stopped being the perfect little brother, Julian might stop feeling that way about him. Ethan's arrival had felt like salvation. The pain in his rear brought him back to the present, memories swirling in his exhausted mind. He drifted in a restless sleep, vaguely aware of being held. A gentle hand soothed his back as a familiar voice told him not to be afraid, that brother was just applying some ointment. The word brother was both a comfort and a terror. The familiar warmth pulled him back into a deep, dreamless sleep. The next morning at breakfast, Julian and Ethan sat with perfect posture, a mirror image of propriety. Liam slouched, shifting uncomfortably in his chair, poking at the eggs on his plate. Julian was the picture of a kind, older brother, chatting amiably with Ethan. He glanced at Liam's plate and told him to eat up. He would be driving them both to campus. As it turned out, he and Ethan attended the same university. The moment the car stopped, Liam bolted. He had already applied for a dorm room, a contingency plan now activated. He was barely in his room when his friend, Leo, burst in, looking like the world had ended. He'd heard the rumors and wanted to know if it was true, if Liam was really the switched-at-birth kid from a soap opera. The gossip mill at their elite university was brutally efficient. Liam, struggling to put a duvet cover on, nodded grimly. Leo looked at him with profound sympathy, telling him not to worry, that he could come live with his family. His older brother had plenty of money. Liam gave him a weary look. If Julian heard that, Leo would be in for a world of hurt. He didn't have the heart to tell Leo that several of his recent unlucky incidents were Julian's handiwork. Liam had become friends with Leo during his rebellious phase. Leo was a simple soul, dedicated purely to having a good time, but he was harmless and fiercely loyal. Liam tossed the tangled duvet at him, telling him if he was a real friend, he'd fix it. 5 minutes later, Leo was hopelessly tangled inside the cover. Liam admitted to himself that he was a coward, hiding out at school. He threw himself into classes and basketball, trying to ignore the world outside. To his surprise, Julian left him completely alone. After years of constant supervision, the sudden silence was unnerving. Their last text exchange was 2 weeks old. Leo, ever the informant, sidled up to him one day, whispering that he'd seen Julian's car, the one with the JJ 996 plate, dropping Ethan off multiple times. He was indignant on Liam's behalf, sputtering about how quickly his brother had abandoned him. Liam channeled his frustration onto the basketball court. Afterward, Leo pointed behind him. Ethan was standing there, looking clean-cut and proper in a crisp white shirt. He approached Liam and said he didn't want his arrival to negatively affect Liam's relationship with Julian. He said he knew Julian still cared, that he'd seen him go into Liam's empty room late at night. He urged Liam to go home, telling him not to hide. Liam wiped sweat from his face and thought, if only you knew what that creep was doing in my room. Ethan, like so many others, was captivated by Julian's carefully crafted persona. Everyone who met Julian praised him, his intelligence, his composure, his charm. Only Leo, with his simple, animal-like instincts, sensed something was off and kept his distance. The man the world saw was just the tip of the iceberg. The real Julian was hidden in the treacherous depths below. The Ashford patriarch had built an empire, but his only son was a worthless playboy who died of an overdose in a suite at the Bellagio. He left behind no legitimate heirs, only 2 neglected boys tucked away in the family mansion. With his bloodline severed, the old man was forced to reconsider the grandsons he had discarded. By then, Julian was already formidable. He was brilliant, ruthless, and had learned to mask his cold nature behind a veneer of sophisticated grace. He became the heir apparent, and Liam, the illegitimate son, was elevated to the status of the proper second young master. But the Ashford clan was large, with plenty of resentful cousins. One of them, Harrison, made it his mission to torment Liam. At a family dinner once, he tripped Liam, who fell hard, his knee cracking against the marble floor. Pain shot up his leg, bringing tears to his eyes. Julian emerged from the house, his face a dark, unreadable mask. He said nothing, simply scooped Liam up and carried him away. While cleaning the wound, Julian's rough thumb traced the edge of the swelling bruise. His voice was low and dark as he remarked that of all the things he'd taught Liam, He never taught him to let others bully him. Liam, not wanting another lecture on top of the pain, just whimpered that it hurt. Julian squeezed his calf in a punishing grip but said no more. Liam thought that was the end of it. Months later, he saw Harrison again. The swagger was gone, replaced by a deep-seated misery. He was in a wheelchair, his left pant leg empty and pinned up. An accident, they said. A cold dread washed over Liam as he looked down at his own perfectly healed left knee. Liam spent his days on the court, dragging Leo with him. As Liam was toweling off, Leo poked at his abdomen, envious of his defined muscles. Liam joked that if you scattered birdseed on the court, a chicken would get more exercise than Leo did. After the game, they discovered a water main had broken on campus. Sticky with sweat, they decided to get a room at a nearby hotel to shower. Leo went to grab some food while Liam went up with the keycard. The door clicked open, and the person standing inside made his heart stop. A tall silhouette was framed against the room's single lamp. Instinct screamed at him to run, but a hand shot out and yanked him inside. A voice, far too familiar, murmured for him not to move. He was wrapped in a thick bathrobe, dripping wet, as Julian carried him out of the steamy bathroom. He lay stiffly in Julian's arms like a cocooned grub, his face flushed and his mind a complete blank. Julian's shirt was soaked through where he held him, and his hair was damp, giving him a disheveled, more relaxed look. He playfully pinched Liam's cheek, molding his mouth into different shapes. The sensation brought Liam back to reality. He tried to push Julian's hand away, but another hand was already tracing a path up his calf. The cocoon shuddered. The fear of being unraveled, of being completely exposed, made him bolt upright. He stammered that he would go home the next day. Julian raised an eyebrow, his hand continuing its slow ascent. Panic seized him. He amended his offer, his voice trembling, promising to go home that night. Julian's hand stilled, leaving a faint red mark on his skin. He stroked the spot gently, murmuring that in that case, he would overlook the matter of Liam getting a hotel room with someone else. Liam fumed silently. What did he mean, overlook it? He'd practically been manhandled from head to toe. If this was overlooking it, what would dealing with it entail? Julian pulled the human cocoon back down, and they tumbled into the soft bed. Liam squirmed, trying to escape, but the breathing in his ear deepened and slowed. He turned to find Julian's eyes closed, seemingly fast asleep. Julian was a man of immense energy. It was rare to see him look tired, but now there were dark circles under his eyes, and his brow was furrowed in exhaustion. Liam's escape attempt slowed to a halt. The supposedly sleeping man's lips curved into a faint, triumphant smile. Liam pulled out his phone and saw a barrage of texts from Leo asking for the room number, wondering where he'd gone. He typed back a simple reply, "Left. Don't wait up." When Liam walked through the front door, Ethan gave him a nod of approval, remarking that he was being sensible. The kid was starting to act just like Julian, a pale imitation of the original. The only one unhappy was Leo, who whined over the phone about the wild nights they were supposed to have. Liam had never agreed to any such thing. He was home, but Julian was barely there. He was consumed by work, coming back late every night, the light in his study burning until the early hours. Liam used to hate the big, empty house. He would follow Julian around, doing homework or playing games wherever Julian was working, just to fill the silence. Now he saw the light spilling from under the study door and felt a barrier he couldn't bring himself to cross. A few days later was the Ashford Patriarch's 70th birthday. It was a grand affair, meant to officially introduce Ethan to society. Leo, who had become an expert on Ashford family drama, called him. "Dude, your grandfather is making a huge deal out of this. Even your brother never got a party like this." Liam corrected him. Not his grandfather, and not his brother anymore. Leo then tried to entice him to a bar where a 6-foot-tall beauty was supposedly playing the cello. Liam declined. At the party, he could feel the gloating stares from across the room. No one approached him directly, though. They were all wary of Julian, whose attitude toward Liam was now unclear. No one wanted to be the first to test those waters. The old man, spry and sharp, gave a speech announcing Ethan's identity and praising his potential, subtly positioning him as a viable heir. Julian was not mentioned once. The message was clear. Liam glanced at Julian, who stood impeccably dressed, looking like a model from a luxury magazine. He showed no reaction to his grandfather's public slight. The old man wanted a puppet. He just didn't realize Julian was the one pulling the strings. This was Liam's chance to slip away unnoticed. He had just made it to the veranda when a hand clamped down on the back of his collar. Julian asked where he thought he was going. Liam mumbled that he was just getting some fresh air. Just then, his phone, which Julian had plucked from his pocket, lit up with a text from Leo. "Come quick," with the bar's address attached. A cold glint reflected off Julian's glasses. Liam had a sinking feeling Leo was about to face some serious consequences. Julian's voice was smooth as silk. He said that if Liam was bored, he could help his brother unwind. The bathroom stall was cramped for 2 grown men. Liam was bent over, his feet threatening to slip on the slick tile. Behind him, Julian was perfectly composed. Liam, furious, threw his head back, thumping it against Julian's chest. A low chuckle rumbled against his back. "Still so energetic. Not bored anymore, are you?" Liam gritted his teeth, hissing pervert. "Psycho." Julian's response was a wicked smile and a provocative nudge. "Say a few more words like that, darling." His fate was in this man's hands. A small whimper escaped him, but Julian quickly covered his mouth, whispering for him to listen. Footsteps approached outside. His adrenaline surged. Muffled voices drifted in. They were talking about him, about how he was the switched son, how he'd been living a lie. They laughed about his fall from grace, how he was nothing without Julian's protection, probably having to kiss Julian's feet to survive now. Then one of them made a crude remark about Liam's looks, about what he'd like to do to him if he were ever cast out of the family. Julian's body went rigid, his eyes turning to chips of ice. His personal assistant would have recognized the look. Someone was about to suffer. Greatly. Julian bit down on Liam's reddened earlobe, his voice a ragged sigh. "They're all wrong. It's my life that's in your hands." Liam's heart hammered against his ribs. After the party, Julian vanished. Liam hadn't seen him in days. The last time, he'd looked exhausted, pinching the bridge of his nose as he told Liam to stay home and not go anywhere. The upheaval at Ashford Inc. was big enough news that even Leo heard about it. He called, offering his home as a sanctuary, repeating that his brother had money. Liam wondered if Leo's brother knew he was being advertised as a sugar daddy all over town. Life became a simple routine of class and home. The room next to his remained dark. He scrolled through his phone. Julian hadn't answered his texts, which was rare. A seed of anxiety began to sprout. As he was walking home from campus, 2 men in black suits blocked his path. They informed him that Mr. Ashford Sr. wished to see him. Liam adjusted his backpack, calmly telling them he was sweaty and needed to change first. He walked inside and slipped out the back door. Julian's phone went straight to voicemail. Liam clutched his phone, a cold certainty growing in his stomach. Something was wrong. Julian had been in a car accident. The words made the world tilt and spin. His throat closed up. An accident? Or had the old man made his move? No, he couldn't. He was a monster, but Julian was his own grandson. He ran. He ran blindly towards the hospital, stumbling, scraping his hands and knees. The long, sterile corridor, the smell of antiseptic, the rhythmic beeping of machines, the muffled sounds of grief from a nearby room, it all conspired to make his heart pound with a terror he had never known. What had he been so afraid of before? His avoidance, his hesitation, his cowardice, it was all a joke. The answer had been there all along, written in an elementary school essay. The person I love most. It was his brother. It was Julian. He stood before the hospital room door, his hand trembling on the knob, too terrified to open it. Then, a familiar voice from behind made him freeze. He spun around, and there he was. The tears came in a sudden, violent rush, and he broke down, wailing like a child. Julian held the sobbing boy in his arms, murmuring reassurances, kissing his hair, but nothing could stem the flood. "I'm here. Don't cry." Liam touched his face, his hands frantically checking him over, patting his chest, his arms. He was solid. He was healthy. He was unhurt. Liam wrapped himself around him like an octopus, greedily inhaling his scent. He mumbled through a sob that Ethan had told him Julian was in an accident. Julian stroked his back, his voice a low rumble. It wasn't him. It was his assistant, Lou, who had minor injuries. He explained that the reception was bad when Ethan called, leading to the misunderstanding. Liam buried his face in Julian's neck, feeling the steady pulse beneath the warm skin. He confessed that the old man's people had come for him, that he ran, and then he heard the news and thought the worst. Julian sighed, his lips brushing against Liam's temple. He asked if Liam really thought so little of him, that he couldn't handle a doddering old man. Liam sniffled that the old man was his grandfather. Julian shifted, holding him tighter. "That doesn't matter," he whispered. "It's been a long time since you've held your brother like this." Liam looked up at him, his own tear-streaked face reflected in Julian's dark eyes. To hell with it. What did Julian want? A hug? A kiss? His nose tingled, and he leaned in, clumsily pressing his lips against Julian's. He would give him a hug. He would always give him hugs. And kisses, too. The touch was soft, warm, and addictive. It wasn't scary at all. The icy depths of Julian's eyes began to thaw. He cradled Liam's face, his kiss deepening, tender and wet, like licking melting ice cream. A low, restrained groan rumbled in his throat. "Good boy. Now I really have to thank that doddering old man." The intimate moment was shattered when the other grandson burst into the room, asking frantically if he was okay. Ethan froze, his body rigid, his eyes wide. He stood there for a good 10 seconds, processing the scene before him, his face cycling through shades of white, red, and green. He turned, moving like a robot, and closed the door, but not before offering a strained, polite, "I'm sorry. Please, continue." The next time Ethan saw Liam, he looked constipated. He fidgeted, his mouth opening and closing, before finally stammering out 2 words. "Sister-in-law." Liam later found Ethan's original paternity test in Julian's desk drawer. The date on it was from 4 years ago. That bastard had known all along. Julian came out of the bathroom, a towel slung low on his hips, water droplets tracing paths down the sculpted muscles of his chest. He took the file from Liam's hand. Liam turned and glared at him, demanding to know when he had found out. Julian bit his cheek playfully, asking him to clarify what he meant. When he found Ethan, or when he knew Liam wasn't his biological brother. Liam felt dizzy from the heat radiating off his skin. He asked if they weren't the same thing. Julian pulled him onto his lap, explaining that he reviewed Liam's medical checkups every year. Noticing the genetic discrepancy wasn't difficult. Liam's eyes widened. He asked how long he'd known. Julian feigned forgetfulness, but admitted finding Ethan took some time, maybe 4 years ago. He said he'd been supporting him secretly ever since his adoptive parents passed away. When the time was right, he leaked the information to the old man and let him do the rest. His fists clenched. He landed a soft punch on Julian's chest, demanding to know why he hadn't told him. Julian captured his fist, bringing it to his lips for a gentle bite. "Tell you? And watch you run away from me?" His warm breath ghosted over Liam's neck. "Besides," he murmured, "I was never raising you as a brother." Liam rolled his eyes. "You old creep." Julian's voice dropped into a placating tone, telling him not to be angry. Liam took a breath, affecting an air of indifference. "I'm not angry. I don't get angry at old men." Julian's brow furrowed. He sat up a little straighter, a rare note of genuine confusion in his voice. "Old men?" Liam looked him up and down with exaggerated scrutiny. "Aren't you? There's like 3 whole generation gaps between us." He held up 3 fingers for emphasis. 3. A dangerous glint entered Julian's eyes. As it turned out, a moment of verbal victory came at a very steep price. Julian was a greedy man. The words that had circled his heart for years could finally be spoken without restraint. "You're mine. My Liam. My brother loves you." Liam took his hand, their fingers lacing together. They lay like that, tangled up in each other, just like on all those countless nights when they were children.